Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Summer's heating up, and so is the action with Chumba Casino and 23XI Racing. Whether you're trackside with Bubba, Riley, and Tyler, or cooling off at home, the fun never stops at Chumba Casino, the online social casino packed with free-to-play games like slots, blackjack, and more. Jump into summer at ChumbaCasino.com and score your free welcome bonus. 2 million free gold coins and 2 free sweeps coins. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
Hello, I'm Toby.
And welcome to the Whispering Woods podcast. In conjunction with Season of the Witch, we are carrying on with that theme. And this episode is all about
The Catemaco Witches.
Yeah, so it's one long story. But first of all, want to give a quick shout out to someone on Patreon as they've upgraded.
Jessie J.
Yeah, hi Jessie. Another shout out. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. We really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month you can listen ad-free. For £4.50 you can listen to this podcast and our other podcast, Obscurata, ad-free. We are also on Apple Premium, even though we're not at the moment. Well, we are on Apple Premium, but the feed is still stuck, which is really annoying because it's been over a week now. But you can support us there because you do get the new episodes. It's just the free feed that's stuck, and that is $4.99 a month for both podcasts as well. Or come and join us on social media. All the links are in the podcast notes. Right. Catemaco witches. Are you ready for the story?
Yes, I am.
Night falls over Lake Catemaco and the town changes. By day, it's a sleepy corner of Veracruz. After dark, people talk about currents in the water and old forces in the hills above, especially around Mono Blanco. Here, belief in magic isn't a novelty. Locals go to brujos and brujas for healings, protections, and, when pushed, curses. Catemaco is known as La Tierra de los Brujos, the land of the witches, because its practices sit in a tense balance. Light and dark, limpia and hex. Each March, the Noche de Brujas draws crowds for rituals and cleansings that trace back generations. But how did Catemaco become the witchcraft capital of Mexico? The story reaches back into the mists of pre-Hispanic time, long before the word brujo was ever heard here. This region, the Los Tuxtlas rainforest, was home to indigenous shamans and healers. The Olmec people and other native cultures left behind a legacy of esoteric rites and natural medicine. In those days, dense jungles and volcanic mountains kept Catemaco isolated from outside influence. That isolation may have sheltered its ancient magical practices from the suppressive eye of the Spanish priests in later centuries. The early inhabitants learned the secrets of the rainforest, which herbs could cure a fever, which roots could invite visions or curses. In essence, Catemaco's first witches were curanderos, healers who worked with nature's pharmacy and communed with spirits of earth and water. When the Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century, they brought Catholicism to banish the pagan beliefs. Churches were built and the friars introduced the veneration of saints. In Catemaco's Balisca, the locals were taught to pray to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. In fact, worship of this Virgin Mary took the place of an older devotion to Chalchiquique, the indigenous water goddess. Yet even as villagers attended Mass on Sunday, many still slipped into the forest at dusk to perform the old rituals in secret. The result was an uneasy blend of Catholic rites and indigenous practices that persisted through the centuries. A folk healer might recite the Lord's Prayer while sweeping an egg over a patient to remove the evil eye. A sorcerer could invoke the names of Catholic saints in Nahuatl, the local language, to lend their spell a familiar holy power. In Catemaco, the cross and the obsidian knife shared the same altar. Another potent strand in Catemaco's tapestry of magic, Afro-Caribbean mysticism. Under Spanish rule, enslaved people from Africa and the Caribbean were brought to Veracruz. They carried with them their own spiritual traditions, including Santeria, the veneration of African deities under the guise of Catholic saints. In the 17 and 1800s, this region saw Cuban slaves and free Afro-Mexicans practice their rites. The humid, tropical environment of Catemaco must have felt familiar, and it became a fertile ground the syncretism emerging of faiths. Indigenous shamans, African priests, and Spanish folk Catholic curanderos exchanged knowledge. Herbal lore mixed with the Yoruba chants. Saints' images were placed alongside jungle spirits. What grew out of this melange was a unique brand of Brujería witchcraft, found only in Veracruz. 1 foot in the jungle, 1 foot in the church, and a shadow cast by African gods. By the 20th century, Catemaco had quietly become known throughout Mexico as a remote sanctuary of sorcery. Anthropologists and curious travellers began to hear of a town where one could find a cure for a spiritual affliction or hire someone to cast a spell of revenge. Life in Catemaco was still rural and traditional. Fishermen on Lake Catemaco, farmers in the surrounding hills. But something else thrived here too. This area was considered a great community of curanderos, one account notes, referring to times even before the Spaniards came. The knowledge of plants, of magic mushrooms, and healing rituals continued to be passed down from parent to child. Crucially, this knowledge was kept alive in part because of cultural pride and secrecy. In a country where most people outwardly professed Catholic faith, the people of Catemaco quietly preserved the old ways. A local might see no contradiction in visiting the Basilica of the Virgin in the morning and a brujo's hut in the afternoon. By mid-century, Catemaco's name was gaining an aura. It wasn't yet a tourist destination, not until a little later. But among Mexicans, if you said someone was an embrujo de Catemaco, it meant they were the real deal. Every legend has its legendary figures. In Catemaco's oral history, elders speak of a man called Don Leobardo, a name spoken with equal parts respect and wariness. Decades ago, long before television crews and tourists arrived, Don Leobardo was known in these parts as a powerful curandero. By day, he was the picture of a humble herbalist, an old man grinding leaves and roots with a mortar and pestle, offering remedies for aches and anxieties. People would travel from distant villages to seek Don Leobardo's aid. He would pray over a bowl of water, murmur incantations in Spanish, and perhaps a bit of Nahuatl, then blow cigar smoke to cleanse a patient. Those who benefited from his cures swore that he had true Don, a gift for healing. In the evenings, it was said you might catch a glimpse of him at the lakeshore, gathering plants under the moonlight, or perhaps communing with unseen spirits. But like many brujos of Catemaco, Don Leobardo's practice was dual-sided. If you looked around this candlelit cabin, you'd see a small altar to the Virgin Mary and St. Francis, adorned with flowers, a white altar for prayers of healing. Yet in a shadowy corner, behind a curtain, rumour had it there was another altar you weren't meant to see. One dedicated to darker forces. For special cases, when a client begged for justice or revenge, Don Leobardo could allegedly appeal to the other side, calling on forces beyond the pearly gates. Some say he never crossed that line unnecessarily. Others say that one dark pact too many ultimately exacted a price from him. In truth, much of Don Leobardo's life story is cloaked in myth, possibly exaggerated by generations of retelling. But his legacy endures as a bridge between Catemaco's benign fate healing and its more secretive sorcery. He embodied the town's duality before it was famous, a kindly old healer to those in need, and a warlock in the eyes of those who knew the deeper secrets. If Don Leobardo was the gentle twilight of Catemaco's mystic tradition, Gonzalo Aguirre-Pech was its midnight thunderstorm. By the 1970s, Gonzalo Aguirre, better known as La Brujo Mayor, the High Brujo, had catapulted Catemaco on the national stage of the occult. Aguirre was born in the nearby town of San Andres Tuxtla in 1914, and local law claims he carried Maya blood in his veins. He wasn't just another healer, he was a showman and a dark visionary. While others practiced discreetly, Gonzalo courted fame and infamy. Thanks to El Brujo Mayor, the self-proclaimed representative of the devil on earth, the Los Tuxtlas region became famous for its curanderos and brujos, garnering attention from far beyond. In fact, by the late 70s, his notoriety was such that, as one writer notes, only two figures stood out in all of Mexican witchcraft at the time: Gonzalo Aguirre in Catemaco and the Mazatec shaman Maria Sabina in Oaxaca. That's rarefied company. What made Gonzalo Aguirre so famous? For one, he was a complete sorcerer, equally versed in light and dark magic. He always invoked both divine powers in his rituals, beginning in the name of the supreme being God, and also calling on the adorable black god Ondanai, the devil. In other words, he left nothing to chance. Aguirre and a handful of contemporaries believed that to be a true brujo, one must command all spiritual forces, from the holy to the infernal. This philosophy distinguished Catemaco's brujos from, say, the average village curandero, and Gonzalo embodied it fully. He would recite a Hail Mary even as he drew a pentagram on the earth. His clientele ranged from campesinos to Mexico's elite, politicians, celebrities, and the wealthy quietly made their way to his notorious clinic on the outskirts of Catemaco. They came seeking cures for ailments doctors couldn't fix, amulets for luck in business, or curses to ruin a rival. On any given Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, days he called most potent for occult work, a line of expensive cars might be parked outside his compound, while inside, Don Gonzalo, as even his clients called him, muttered incantations over a bowl of perfumed water or a live chicken destined for sacrifice. Gonzalo Aguirre's boldest legacy was transforming Catemaco's image from a hidden hamlet of healers into a celebrated capital of sorcery. In 1970, he and a few fellow practitioners did something unprecedented. They organised a public gathering of witches and shamans, an event that would evolve into the annual Witchcraft Congress. It began modestly as a kind of meet and greet for practitioners to show off rituals and talismans. Some called it an expose of magical rites and crafts. But Gonzalo had bigger ideas. By the mid-1970s, he was hosting a full-fledged Black Mass on the first Friday of March, inviting the bravest souls to witness the kind of ceremony normally done in secret. At midnight, on a lakeshore or atop the Cerro Mono Blanco, he would perform what he called an interview with the devil, slaughtering animals as offerings and chanting to invoke Satan himself. Flames from torches and bonfires lit up the jungle. On the night of the witches, Noche de Brujas, Catemaco was no longer hid its dark side. It put it on stage. Boat processions crossed the lagoon with hundreds of torchlights flickering as participants made their way toward Mono Blanco Hill to join the ritual. By dawn, as legend has it, the devil had come and gone, and the town was cleansed of a year's accrued negative energy. This was sensational, and word spread. Over the years, Gonzalo's Congreso de Brujos grew into a phenomenon. The Brujo had effectively pioneered witchcraft tourism in Catemaco. News articles in Mexico and abroad featured the Brujo mayor summoning dark forces, and curious spectators began flocking to see it all firsthand. What had once been only whispered about was now a key part of Catemaco's identity, thanks largely to Don Gonzalo. It's important to note, though, not everyone in Catemaco approved of his flamboyant, satanic pageantry. The local Catholic clergy were outraged, and many older curanderos who kept white magic felt the Brujo mayor was inviting dangerous attention and perhaps truly dangerous spirits. But the genie was out of the bottle. Catemaco was famous as Mexico's witch capital, and Gonzalo Aguirre Pech reigned as its dark superstar until his death in 1982. Gonzalo's passing did not end Catemaco's mystical story. Far from it. If anything, it solidified the town's status. After 1982, new leaders and personalities took up the mantle. Among them was Enrique Marvin Burdon, a disciple of Gonzalo's circle, who in later years would be recognised as a Brujo mayor himself, sometimes going by the dramatic moniker El Hajado or even El Unicornio Negro on social media. Others perhaps, including descendants of the quieter Don Leobardo lineage, continued offering more subdued healing services. But the yearly gathering that Gonzalo started kept going and growing. Catemaco had entered the global map of the supernatural. Once a year, Catemaco transforms. Every first Friday of March, as dusk falls, the town sheds its everyday skin and assumes an almost theatrical identity. This is El Dia del Brujo, the Day of the Witch, culminating in the infamous Night of the Witches. Imagine arriving in town on this day. The streets bustle with thousands of visitors who have poured in. Hotels are full. Vendors sell candles, herbs, amulets, and t-shirts, emblazoned with witchy slogans. The aroma of copal incense wafts from stores, offering limpias, spiritual cleansings. And on the central plaza, right in front of the Catholic Basilica, there might be a large banner promoting the International Congress of Witchcraft, much to the dismay of the priests inside the church. As the evening deepens, anticipation builds. In the old days, Gonzalo Aguirre would lead the midnight Black Mass himself at a public site. More recently, however, things have changed slightly. Large public Black Masses have been officially toned down. In fact, sacrificial blood rituals were banned by Veracruz state authorities in the 2000s due to animal cruelty concerns. But that doesn't mean the magic has stopped. It's just gone a bit underground. Now, on this first Friday night, each prominent brujo conducts his own private ceremony, often on their own property or a sacred spot in the hills, behind closed doors, or at least away from the crowds. You won't easily get access unless you're an invited supplicant or a paying client. But the energy of these rites spills over into the town at large. Locals know that behind some of these courtyard walls, there are altars being consecrated with offerings of rooster blood and incantations to dark entities. If you're lucky or unlucky enough to attend one of these Black Masses, it's an experience you won't forget. As described by a journalist, just after midnight, a circle of people stand in a backyard lit by candles. The brujo, perhaps a man like Enrique Marvin, clad in black robes, brings forth a goat. Prayers or blasphemies, depending on your view, ring out as he slits the goat's throat, an offering to the forces of darkness. Those present might each be anointed with a smear of blood, sealing a pact or a cleansing of negative energy for the year ahead. Such visceral ceremonies are meant to expel the accumulated evil of the past year, to appease the devil so he doesn't trouble the town until next March. It's both horrifying and cathartic. As one witness wrote, this was only the first act of a night-long ordeal. Meanwhile, the town government has embraced the festival in its own way, albeit focused on the lighter side to attract tourists. While the private dark rites happen, city officials organise public events, witch-themed parades, concerts, and mass cleansing ceremonies where anyone can line up to have a curandero brush them with herbs and eggs to remove bad luck. It becomes a carnival of the supernatural. Fireworks might crackle in the sky, competing with the distant thunder of drum circles from the outskirts where independent covens dance around fires. A rough estimate says about 10,000 visitors flood Catemaco each year at this time, far more than the few hundred that lived here back when the tradition began. They come from all over Mexico and increasingly from abroad, out of curiosity or a genuine spiritual quest. The economic boost is significant. Local reports claim the event can bring in a few million pesos to the economy, and most locals, even the skeptics, tolerate or even support it for that reason. The morning after, which is the first Saturday of March, a different vibe takes over. There is typically a public procession in daylight, almost like a parody of religious parade. Each brujo, those willing to go public, and their apprentices march through town in ceremonial garb, some carrying images of saints or devils or dressed as ancient shamans. Tourists and journalists line the streets snapping photos. The procession usually culminates in a public fiesta on the plaza, featuring traditional dances, including indigenous danza and Afro-Caribbean influenced drumming. There's a sense of relief and celebration. The heavy work of the witching night is over, and now it's about community and culture. Of course, even then, some of the brujos are sizing each other up. Rivalry is part of this world too. Arguments have broken out in past years over who gets to lead the rites, or who deserves the title of Brujo Mayor. There have even been public feuds when one Brujo accuses another of being a fraud or infringing on territory. In a town full of magic, mundane competition still rears its head. Not to be forgotten, the Catholic Church in Catemaco also marks this weekend, but with prayer vigils. Feeling spiritual warfare is afoot. Priests hold special masses and blessings. During the festival, you'll find devout Catholics attending purification events at the Balisca to counteract what they view as evil influence. It's a fascinating social dynamic. In the plaza, a witchcraft fair. Across the street in the church, holy water and rosaries deployed in response. As young one man mopping the Balisca floor remarked, "Ignorance leads people to the devil. When you ask Satan for something, he always wants something in return. God's gifts are free." This tension between the two towns' identities, one sacred, one occult, is out in full display during the Witchcraft Congress. Yet for some residents, it's just part of Catemaco's identity. As an older resident named Escobar, who'd seen the town's transformation over decades, mused, "It's part of our culture and brings a lot of tourism. People can do what they want. It doesn't bother me." By the end of the weekend, when visitors depart and the last candle stubs are swept off the streets, Catemaco falls back into its everyday rhythm. Fishermen go out on the lake again at dawn. Shopkeepers open their stores and the jungle returns to its usual quiet hum. But there's no denying that each March, Catemaco reaffirms its title as the Brujería capital. It's a spectacle, a sacred duty, a tourist draw, and a community reunion all in one. The Noche de los Brujos lives on, an annual modern ritual built on the bones of far older traditions.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
I'd love to go to this festival. I'm not sure about the darker side of the magic though, because I can imagine them sort of having their sections which are not for the locals. So, like, you're not allowed to go unless you've been invited.
Yeah.
Would you like to go to a witch festival?
No.
Not really your thing, is it?
No.
I'd be there. They do all sorts of witchy stuff and that at Glastonbury. They do witches' fair and they do a fairy fair and a frost fair.
Hey, that's because there's a witch in a cave.
Yeah?
Remember that? That witch in the cave?
What witch in the cave?
She was doing, like, fortune telling and that.
Do you mean when we went to the well?
I don't know.
To the
I think
spring?
so. Yeah.
And it was all dark and the water was in there?
Yeah.
And somebody was in there naked?
Yeah. And there was a person with fortune telling.
Yeah, there was. Sat in the corner, in the dark corner. I love it. But this place sounds so interesting. Really, really interesting.
Well, that's in this episode. Hope you enjoyed and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. I'll catch up with you on Wednesday, Tuesday and Thursday for Obscurata if you're tuning in. Toby will be back again with me on Thursday. And then again on Sunday. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Hey, I'm Paige DeSorbo, and I'm always thinking about underwear.
I'm Hannah Berner, and I'm also thinking about underwear, but I prefer full coverage. I like to call them my granny panties.
Actually, I never think about underwear. That's the magic of Tommy John.
Same. They're so light and so comfy, and if it's not comfortable, I'm not wearing it.
And the bras, soft, supportive, and actually breathable.
Yes, Lord knows the girls need to breathe. Also, I need my PJs to breathe and be buttery soft and stretchy enough for my dramatic tossing and turning at night. That's why I live in my Tommy John pajamas.
Plus, they're so cute because they fit perfectly.
Put yourself on to Tommy John.
Upgrade your drawer with Tommy John. Save 25% for a limited time at TommyJohn.com/comfort. See site for details.
Bubba Wallace here with Tyler Reddick. You know what's more nerve-wracking than waiting for qualifying results?
Waiting for the green flag to drop.
Instead of pacing, you rev up with Chumba Casino's weekly new releases.
It's like a fresh set of tires for your brain.
Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.